What's happening? It's your boy Supreme, and this is Invader Talk, a podcast for millennials and Gen Zs to bridge the gap between tribes by learning through one another. So today I'm here with my guys. First time I got this. This is funny. It's 11:11. E-commerce experts, Brandon and Brandon. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going
Hey
on?
man, thanks for having us.
It's great that I have you guys here on this date. It's funny. The date is 11:11. I got two Brandons right here, and
For
we really
sure.
here
Yeah, that was
to talk about this good stuff. I appreciate you guys for joining me and Invader Nation today. I think this is well needed for the times and what's going on, especially with like the age of technology. You guys are e-commerce experts, so let's jump into e-commerce real quick. Can we first
well,
break
ecom.
down what e-commerce is?
Yeah, e-commerce is the future of all sales. It seems like everybody from the department stores is starting to jump over to the e-commerce. Amazon's growing, Walmart's growing consistently. All these big metropolises are growing unbelievable with their e-commerce numbers, and we've found a way to tap into that. That's really where we specialize, and how to be part of the e-commerce industry.
Right.
So as a whole,
Well put.
is e-commerce just selling stuff online, selling anything online? Does that count as e-commerce?
Yeah, e-commerce is just the sale of anything online, really. It could be services, it could be products retail, it could be business to business. Any sort of sales that are online would be considered e-commerce.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I seem like that's a lot of people are doing that in all types of ways, even with like eBay. People have been doing it with eBay. Now we got like Let Go, but
Right.
now we're actually building like online stores. There's like drop shipping, and there's a few different ways you can, I guess, put out your product. Can you tell me like how you guys do it?
Yeah, so we do the drop shipping method. There, like you said, there are different ways to sell, but it's all about taking on the risk that you're comfortable with. And with what we do in e-commerce, we prefer to not have inventory because by the time you find inventory, get it up for sale, it may not be hot anymore, or a competitor may have bought, twice as much volume, got a deeper discount, and now you're sitting on this inventory that you might not be able to sell or even break even on. And that's just a risk we don't want to take, especially for our clients. So we do the drop shipping method where we sell high and then we go back and buy low.
Okay. So you don't have basically you don't just if you want to sell t-shirts, you don't go buy a bunch of t-shirts and fill your closet up and then try to sell them.
Right.
You sell
No,
them
we
first.
don't take that risk.
We sell them first. We put them up for sale. When one sells, then we order it from our supplier and ship it directly to the customer. That's drop shipping.
Okay. Can
So you
anybody
have
do
no
drop shipping?
inventory.
Can anybody do
Anybody
this?
can do drop shipping for
Yeah,
sure. It
absolutely.
just when it gets so big, it takes so much time, and that's where we specialize, and we give people their time back.
Yeah,
Okay.
right on.
Okay. So if anybody can do it, can you give me like I guess some good first steps to actually selecting a product that you want to sell online?
Yeah,
Sure.
that's something we can do. Uh, when I start looking for a product to sell online, I'm first going to think of stuff that sells every day because I know it's going to sell. I'm going to go maybe even take a tour of the local store and see what's always out of stock, walk down the aisles. If you start noticing a rhythm, say like cleaning products the last few months, you don't really see them often in there, but you can get them online. So that's something I target, like one of my first products, I believe, was like 409 carpet cleaner. It was one of a great product for us to have, and it always sold on a daily basis when I started looking at it. There's a few helpers out there like Jungle Scout. They have a thing that'll give you that monthly average sales or quantity of sales on that product monthly based off of a patented formula they have. And it kind of gives a person an idea if it's moving or not. If it's got a few hundred sales a month, that's a great product to possibly sell.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, you don't always want to just pick a product that you like. Just because you like a product doesn't mean that it's a good drop shipping product. So as you said, we like to stick to things that are essential that people need every day. It could be grocery items, it could be cleaning products. Those are the types of things people are buying on a regular basis versus, like this fall here, PlayStation 5 is going to be a hot item, right? So limited quantities, everybody wants it. And then once you buy it, you don't buy another PlayStation for another year, 2 years, or 3 years. Whereas home goods, you're buying those things on a regular basis, probably monthly, maybe sometimes weekly. So that's why we stick to that particular category.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. So it's like, because if you just sold what you like, only, you know what I'm saying, so many people, but you got to pay attention to the market, see what's in, you know what I'm saying, supply and demand type thing. What's in demand, high
Right.
demand.
Yeah.
and what you
For
can
sure,
get
supply
Yeah.
and demand is
There,
really the drive the price up.
there's really a lot of parts to that question because I shouldn't say you shouldn't do products that you're interested in because there's probably a small niche for those type of things. 10 years ago, I used to sell ATVs, snowmobile parts and accessories online, and I did well with that, but it was such a small industry. I, made a good part-time income from it, but it wasn't a good full-time income. So you can do something you love to at least get your feet wet and learn the ropes. But if you want to do this on a large scale, you got to think outside the box a little bit. What are people searching for? What are people buying? And that's kind of how we came across the home goods. I don't care to sell 409 cleaner, but it's a hot product that sells, so I'm going to sell it.
Yeah, that was a good way to put it for sure. It's a good way to get your feet wet, but when you really want to get into the bigger numbers, you gotta sell some stuff that you might not have the most interest in, but it's moving.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like if I'm a ninja and I want to sell nunchucks, only other ninjas are gonna buy it. I gotta like look and see what
Right.
other groups, other
Yeah, for
niches,
sure. You're in a
they
small
stuff
niche.
Right.
up.
And you could be the biggest guy in that niche. By no means is that wrong to niche down. In fact, if you want to, a lot of people will tell you you should niche down to get really specific, but it gets into a lot of different areas because it depends if you're selling on a third-party platform like Amazon or Walmart, or if you're building your own website. If you were building your own website to sell products from, I'd say you want to niche down to, nunchucks if you were a ninja, or like, black nunchucks, or I
Yeah,
don't
that's more of a Shopify thing.
yeah,
I think if you're starting to
you'd
run
really niche
targeted
down
ads and stuff.
because as the search engine's algorithm crawls your website, you're going to niche down so far. Like if you're selling T-shirts, do you want to just sell T-shirts? That's a pretty broad term. But if you're selling red T-shirts and blue T-shirts, then you'd want to niche down to that type of product.
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes a good point. You bringing that SEO in, and that's really important when you start developing your independent site.
Yeah,
versus
that's
you really
a tough
don't rely
question
on
to
that
answer. It
with us
just
being a
depends on the
dropship.
specific situation. But in general, we stick to home goods on these third-party platforms.
Okay, that makes sense. It makes sense that it's I guess a lot of variables that go into actually figuring this out, just like with anything.
Yeah.
But in the age of technology, I feel like this is the future. We live in the future. I mean, the year is 2020. It's the end. It's about to be 2021. We live in the future. I think the future of business is going to go. It looks like it's already there. You know what I'm saying? We can't say it's going to because Amazon Prime exists. We
Right.
have, and that's basically the fastest thing we've ever had. What do
It's
you
only going to
guys?
get bigger.
Yeah, so I was about to ask you, what do you think about the future of business and self-employment?
Oh, okay. I was back on that last topic. It really hit me today because I was gonna go check out like if they had inventory on the PlayStation 5s, as you mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
And the guy's like, you only can buy it online. And I'm like, what happened to the day when you got in front of the store and you went
Got
and
in the
grabbed
line. You waited overnight,
Yeah.
or you waited in line for a week
That's
outside.
gone. I'm kind of depressed. It really hit me today. Like, hey, everything is going online. Even I'm in the e-commerce industry, and it never even hit me like that before until this morning when I stopped in at Target. I'm like, hey, how many of you guys gotten back? And he's like, well, I can't say that, but you can check online in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if
No,
we look at it,
everything,
even
things
the
are
game
definitely
system is
moving
all
online. It's
digital.
just right.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Everything's just going online. It's just that convenience of being able to not leave your home, right?
That's exactly what it is.
I mean, I get anxiety when I go to Walmart. I don't know about you, but I hate going to that place.
I used to love like going out, like Black Friday's changed. Like
Yeah.
10 years ago, I was the guy in line on TV with the news reporter, like, hey, you're number one in line,
Yeah.
for
Oh,
Black
yeah, I've
Friday.
been there.
Oh,
At Best Buy. I love that.
that at Best Buy when I was, in the age. I used to have a tent I used to put out there, and I had the same interview like 4 years in a row because I was always first.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely see. I mean, it's not even the fact that it's already here. And that's why it's great that you guys are giving this information, because I think that more people are moving to or trying to find a way that they can make money. Because not only is it like you don't have to go in the office when you're doing stuff online, you can
Mhm.
work from anywhere, and that opens you up to so much other possibilities when it comes to what you can do with
It
your
really
time.
does.
Yeah, when you start to fly around and travel on your laptop, that's pretty neat. But I still like going to the office and getting that feel that it gives you. You work a little harder, I think, in the office. Maybe that's just me.
A little more focused.
Yeah, you don't get distracted. You're not sitting by a poolside or having a drink in one hand. So
Yeah, that makes
you got
sense.
to
And
really watch it.
speaking of that,
Yeah, everybody's different. I mean, I could do it in both, but it's definitely easier in the office to focus.
let me ask you that, since we're talking about being in the office. I think a lot of people say like they can't they can't work from home because just the same reason. But when is the right time to like get an office? Because it's like some people say they can't start a home business because they don't have the build. Like they want to get the building first. They want to get the whole plaque on the desk with their name on it. When is the time to actually expand?
I think that's in every case is a little different, I guess. We didn't have an office right away. We kind of did everything from home on the kitchen table. I don't know, maybe a plaque on the kitchen table would have made me a little more motivated, but uh, that would have been an interesting thought. But I think that's each case is different. Make sure you can afford it. Don't overextend your spending. Don't run yourself into debt when you're starting a business. Try to make your stuff come out pretty even at first.
You
And
don't
then
want to
worry
leap
about the
ahead too
profit.
fast
Yeah.
of where you're at. Like you said, it's really, a case by case basis, and sometimes you just have to take that chance. It might not necessarily be the right time, but just by taking that chance, like if you're the right type of person, you're going to make it work. You're going to find a way to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna see those lessons and those failures, not really even failures, just mistakes, and then correct it, and it gets better
Right.
every time over time, just
You
like
don't
everything in
learn,
life.
you don't learn unless you actually do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. You have to do it. There's nothing you can watch YouTube all you want till you're blue in the face, but it's not going to give you what's really going on in the industry. You got to learn it the hard way because they're not going to give you all the little tips and tricks. They might give you hints, but nobody tells the full story. It seems like when you start watching the videos, I studied a lot of that stuff when I was younger and it's come a long way, but everybody is still not giving you 100% everything you need to do.
They're just giving you a basic outline.
Yeah.
And it's usually like a few different like doorways that you got to get through to even get the real information from them. Get those
Right.
guidelines. You got to like sign up for like a course, and then you got to join a group, and then you got to
Right.
do
Yeah. Email list for sure.
yeah, join the lives and watch people do it. And like I see people doing it like learning that way, and that's cool. But one of the best ways I found it to learn is just to go directly to the source. And we kind of talked about like
Hmm.
who do you get advice from? Who should you take advice from when it comes to not just, I guess, not just e-commerce, but life?
Well, one of the things I always heard is don't take advice from somebody that doesn't have what you want, right? And that really kind of stuck with me. Why would you listen to somebody that doesn't have what you want? Um, I have mentors and stuff that I've reached out to on Instagram, and that is a great source for me. I think a lot of people maybe hesitate to reach out to somebody they look up to sometimes because they figure, well, why would this person give me the time of day? Well, what's the worst that's going to happen? They don't answer you, they don't respond. And the best situation is they might respond. I've been fortunate enough to learn from a lot of people that are, 8 and 9 figure e-commerce people, and that helps a lot to have that knowledge, that experience.
Okay. So that makes sense. I mean, like if there's a guy who's driving a monster truck and he's like, "Do you want this?" If you don't want to have a monster truck, he's probably not the person you should be taking advice from. You should find a person who's doing
Right.
what you want to do
Yeah.
successfully.
For
And
sure.
Yeah. That's kind of what I did. I mean, I was in Miami 2 years ago, and I had a local business here in Wisconsin and stuff. And seeing how some of these people are living, I'm like, man, like, why am I busting my ass 7 days a week? Like, I know these people ain't working as many hours as I am, but they're doing so much better than I am. And I got on Instagram and I started watching people and I started reaching out to people. And that's kind of how I started to learn things.
it makes sense. Rule was it law number one? Oh, step number one in mastery is apprenticeship. Yeah. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
it's always great to find dope mentors. And let me
Yeah,
ask
for
you this:
sure.
in the case if you were let's take a time machine and let's pretend that you are able to go back in time and you can talk to yourself when Brandon and Brandon first sat down and was like, you know what, let's do this e-commerce business. What would you two guys say to Brandon and Brandon to the fourth
Wow, that's
power?
a tough one. I guess
It's going to be
it's
harder
been
than you
2 years
think.
ago
Yeah,
that we
I would
sat
say
down as
it's going
part
to
of
be
the first
harder than
business.
you think because we kind of jumped into like CBD, thinking it was going to be a cakewalk because we knew all these people, had all these great connections, and it's not such a cakewalk. So
For sure
I
true.
guess we had a little bit of overconfidence. I'm like, well, if so and so can do it, we can do it, and we kind of learned that it doesn't always come that easy, and we know that. That's why we're still here doing it because we don't just give up. Like we're going to figure it out one way or the other.
Yeah, but if we had to give ourselves advice was the thing, and I guess we learned it the hard way, and the advice is stick through it no matter what. Uh, you're going to have your ups and downs. Nothing's always greener on the other side, like they say. Just remember, there's a lot more shit on the other side. That's why it's greener.
Just stick to it. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Stick
I
to
feel
it,
like
hammer it out.
when you're pursuing anything, when you get to a certain point, it's always cool to be able to look back and see where you were at. But the cool thing about that too is only you know what you had to do to get to that
Right.
point where you're at now. But it gives you a
Right.
different type of understanding.
Yeah, people, like friends that I have here and stuff, they see we got these cars now. We're on trips all the time, all this and that. What they don't see is they don't see when I leave this office, I go home and I'm on the computer till midnight every night. They don't see that when I'm on the airplane, I'm on my computer or on my phone messaging clients the whole time. They don't see all the real work that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a ton of work behind the scenes that goes on and endless hours to keep everybody happy with the services we offer in our companies. Uh, One of our goals is always respond within the day or more sooner than that.
I usually try and respond with
So
it.
wild,
That's a big
he
deal
takes
to me.
go out on the boat sometimes, and he takes his laptop with him. If there's something that comes up, he takes care of it right there. Like that's just what we do. That's what we
Okay.
strive to do. We put the hours in no matter what. If it's Christmas, your birthday, holiday, it doesn't matter. It's work no matter what.
Yeah,
1,000%.
like that. Don't be afraid to put in that work. Everybody want to be the best.
But
but don't nobody wanna put in
with
the
that work though, like it's not work to us. We love what we do.
Yeah, we
Exactly.
I don't
like-
ever feel overwhelmed. I don't ever get stressed really. Yeah, there's sometimes where, damn, I wish I didn't have to do this today. But that's what I signed up for. You
Yeah.
know, and we love it at the end of the day. Like we all like to make money, and if I put in the work, it's gonna keep happening, right?
Right.
Work's getting a little overwhelming. We got to get some more time in the gym. I think me and him and trying to get out of at least an hour in the morning.
Yeah,
but
I
we're
gotta get in the
struggling
gym a
to
little
do
bit.
that. We're starting to lose ourselves a little.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Get up in there and get fit, man. It's a lifestyle.
right.
Mind, body, spirit, man. Okay, guys. So can you just tell me like exactly what you guys do?
Sure. So what we do is we build essentially a brick and mortar store on the Amazon or Walmart platform as a third party seller. So what that means is we're going to build our clients their own store. Okay. We're going to do all the product research. We're going to do all the customer service. We're going to do all the product listing. And then when an order comes into their store, we're going to place those orders and ship them directly to their customers. So it's a completely passive stream of income for our clients.
We do everything from A to Z on an extreme scale of drop shipping. Is truly where we come in.
How much money does it take to start something like this? If somebody comes to you and they like, man, I got like $300. I think I can get a bunch of masks. Is that how it works?
So no, that's not quite exactly how it works. We have an upfront cost that varies from $25,000 to $40,000, and that depends which platform our clients want to sell on, and what profit split they want to do. Because we take a profit split from the store's profit based on how much they make, and we do that because at the end of the day, we're the ones performing all the work. So it's a little bit more incentive for us to make sure that these stores are performing well. Our clients typically would need about $15,000 to $20,000 worth of working capital. And that's not for inventory. That's so when an order comes in and our clients get paid, that money isn't physically in their bank account yet because Amazon and Walmart pay out every 2 weeks. So when we place these orders, they'll get charged to our clients' credit cards. And then when Amazon or Walmart pays out 14 days later, they will get paid.
Oh, okay. So basically, if somebody wants to start a business, they bring you the money.
Mhm.
Did they start making money the next day, like after the 2 weeks? Like how long does it take to get money after the initial start
So
off?
it depends on which platform you are on. On Amazon, as a new seller, you're in a probationary period for the first 90 days. So sales will be really sporadic. You might not get your first sale for about 3 weeks. Sometimes you get it the same day. Every store is just different. Just depends exactly what items listed in there. Obviously, we're not going to use the same item in every one of our stores. We currently manage about 200 stores, so there's a lot of different products, and those things sell a little bit differently. But Amazon, you have to go slow in the first 90 days because there's a whole bunch of metrics that you have to meet, like valid tracking rate. You can't be over 1% for order defect. You can't cancel orders. So we just have to really grow it carefully in that first 90 days to show Amazon that our clients are a good seller so that they don't get suspended. Because Amazon, if you show that you're not taking care of the customer, you're not meeting deadlines, they'll suspend you essentially. We have only had about 9 people ever get suspended, but it was for random checks, not because they were doing anything wrong. It was just basically asking for more information about their business, where we had to send in copies of receipts or invoices, things like that. So not really a big deal. Over on the Walmart platform, once a person pays, it does take about 60 days to get their store approved and all the back end, all the permits and everything set up the way they need to be. But then they could literally be making money that very first day.
Okay. And does the initial amount, like say you got to come in there with 25 to 40 grand. Say
Yeah.
Yeah,
somebody
we
comes
call
in
that like
there
a
with
franchise
100.
fee.
If somebody comes in
Say
there
that
with more
again.
than that, if somebody comes in there, say somebody comes in there with about 100 grand, would that up the speed of their store, or does it matter? It just like,
Mm, So not necessarily. Okay. So that upfront cost that we have is for a couple different things. Number one, we reinvest that money into our company that makes sure things are operating smoothly and we can continue to scale these accounts and manage all of the accounts that we manage. The second part of that upfront fee is to pay us to manage our clients' accounts for the first year. Okay. Because it takes a lot of time to grow these accounts. And so we need to be paid to do that. But once you go into the second year, the third year, the fourth, fifth year, we don't have a big upfront cost like that. It just is an annual renewal based on the client's previous 12 months of profit. So if the previous 12 months they made less than $30,000 profit with us, our renewal is only $2,500. If they make over $30,000 in profit, then our annual renewal is $5,000. And the reason for that is we can't manage these accounts for 3, 4, 5 years on end just off that upfront cost. Like we need to be able to be paid to continue to do what we do. Now, if a person came and they had $100,000 in credit, okay, we'd be able to scale that would help us be able to scale their store a little bit faster to a point. That doesn't mean that, by month 4, I can have their store doing 100,000 a month in sales, or specifically by month 8. If you had 100 grand in capital, it still takes 8 or 9 months to really ramp up to that.
Yeah, and if you had that 100 grand up front, we can get you set up on both platforms, so you have a security net. So hey, 1 week it's always going to go up and down with sales. So you have a safety net more or less. So if you got a high one and a low one, so you got an Amazon store and a Walmart store, we always spread that out so everything's not all
Yeah,
in
so
one
if your
basket.
Amazon store is slow 1 month, or let's say you get temporarily suspended and they're asking for documents, the problem with Amazon is you don't know if they're going to respond within 3 hours or if it's going to be 3 weeks. So if your store's down for 3 weeks and you had 2, then your Walmart store would still be performing, during that time.
So the more capital, the more security almost. You can have
Right.
more forms
okay,
of passive income.
The more capital you have, the more you're going to make, and the faster you're going to make it to a point.
okay, that makes sense. And the more digital real estate, the bigger
Yeah,
stores you have.
drop shipping is a cash flow game. You know what I mean? Like, this is a business that you can do on a small scale, but if you want to create a full-time income, it takes money to make money, right? And we always tell our clients, because there's a lot of guys on YouTube and stuff trying to fake it till they make it. You always see these clients posting big screenshots, making 10, 15 grand a month, and that's great. But I always tell clients, don't expect to quit your job in 6 months. You're not going to be buying a house in cash in a year. Treat this as an additional stream of income. So let's say you had a slow month, or your store is just growing slower than expected and you were only making $3,000 a month. Well, you're going to be disappointed because that's not the big screenshots that you see everybody making. But if you think about it in perspective, if you're making $3,000 a month doing nothing but making sure your credit card's paid off, that's still a really good return. I would kick my own ass and Brandon's ass here if our clients were only making $3,000 a month, because it's usually much higher than that. But just, if you said, hey, you're having a bad month, you only made $3,000, that's still a really good month.
Yeah.
You didn't put in any work for that.
Pay your credit card, man. That's a pretty good check.
It is always having your money make money. It's always a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's for sure. They say you want to have 5 to 7 forms of income, and this is just another one.
And with all the uncertainty with people's jobs and the economy and stuff, a lot of people are looking for an additional way to make income, right? If you work a job, or, you own another small business, there's only so much time in a day that you can put into that, but at the end of the day, having another stream of income is going to work for you 24/7. That's the great thing about e-commerce. Your sales potential is unlimited because now the whole world is your market, and it operates 24/7. if you're sick or you're on vacation or it's a holiday, your store is still open and taking those sales.
Let
Yeah,
me
that's a good
ask you.
point.
Let me ask you this. This is something I'm curious about. I know a lot of people talk about, they hate their 9 to 5. That's typically an 8 hour,
Hmm.
shift. When you're working for yourself, when you're doing this, I know you guys are, you guys are doing a bit. You guys are managing about 200 plus stores. But if for
Hmm.
somebody to actually just manage a store, about how much time would they really have to put in a day?
Oh, it's endless.
It depends how big you want to grow. Because I
Yeah.
mean, you can list a small amount of products so that it's manageable. But if you want to do 100,000 a month, even 50,000 a month, you're probably going to be putting in 10, 12
Oh,
hours a day.
I think you're looking at that 16 to 18 hours and very little sleep.
It just depends how good you are, like how good of a multitasker you are, because it takes time to do product research. Then it takes time to list the products because, if you don't have the proprietary software we have where you can just click 2 buttons and list it, you got to go copy and paste the description, the pricing, the SKU, the weight, all this stuff. Okay. Now, on top of that, when an order comes in, you got to stay on top of that, processing all those orders. Then on top of that, you got to handle all the customer messages, getting return labels, refunding people, doing exchanges. There's a lot to it.
And that doesn't even count the day to day in the office with the taxes and sales taxes,
Yeah.
keeping track of everything. It adds up quick if you're not really organized.
And that's kind of how we got into this business, okay? Because I've been drop shipping for about 6 years, and so a couple of years before we started doing this automation, and people knew I was doing pretty well with it. And they're like, hey, how about I pay you and you train me how to do it? And I'm like, okay. And so you start teaching these people, and at first they're really excited. They want to be their own boss and make this money, and they think it's going to be really great. And then they start doing the work. And they're like, this is a lot of work. Like,
Too much work.
I want to go out this weekend. I want to go up north this weekend. I want to go out on my boat. And so it got to the point where the couple of people I had, they're like, how much do I have to pay you to just do this for me? Okay. And that's kind of how we got into this. I'm like, oh, that's a really interesting thought. How can we scale this for our clients? So when we all got partnered up, we started putting our heads together on how we could do this, and everybody had a specific role. And now that we've been doing this for years and years, like, we have a streamlined back end. We have bots that run on computers 24 hours a day, placing orders for our client stores. We still have people that also process orders, but we also have real people that are handling the customer service issues or doing the product listing. So we try and automate it as much as we can, but there's still things we have to manually do.
Yeah, see, I'm glad you basically debunked that whole thing. People think like, if I quit my job at McDonald's or whatever, I'm gonna be rich tomorrow and I'm not gonna have to do anything.
Yeah,
You guys are still working a lot of hours in a day.
Yeah, I traded in work. I'm the type of person, I cannot work an 8 hour day, a 4 hour day, or a 2 hour day and watch somebody else make all the money. Like, I would rather trade that in and work 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day, sometimes 20 hours a day, and I am way happier.
Yeah.
I am literally in control of my future. I don't like to put my future in somebody else's hands. Like, if I want something, I'm going to figure it out.
I think the hardest thing working for yourself is maybe trying to find good healthcare. That's always a tough one. When you're self-employed, you get rid of that W-2 job. The healthcare is one is like, man, wow, they're just
I
take you.
I would, and this goes back to what type of person are you. Got to know what type of person you are. Like, I would tell somebody, don't quit your day job until your side income is more than your main income, or you're really close. For me, I worked a full-time job when I first got started in e-commerce and even opened a retail business doing like automotive customization. I worked first shift for 10 hours a day. Then I'd go work my side business for like the rest of the day. Then I switched my first shift job to third shift, thinking that would be great because then I'd have all day. So I'd work all day, all night. Then I'd go home, get changed, shower, come here for 10, 12 hours a day, go home, see the kids for like an hour or two, take an hour or two nap, and then I do it all over again because that's what I had to do, and you gotta be, what's the right word for it? You have to be persistent.
They
Gotta
say
be a
live like
hustler.
nobody wants to live,
Yeah.
or a few years to live like nobody can.
Back when I first got in e-commerce, I was in a bad relationship. I was just starting my automotive customization business. I I wanted to take a chance. I'm like, I want to quit my job and open this automotive customization business. So I went and looked at my first like location where customers could come to me and it not be my house. And that very same night, my house actually burned down. So here I lost all my tools, all my product for,
Damn.
doing work on these cars. And like, I was part of a car like tinting forum, and all these people reached out and they're like, hey man, what's your address? And they replaced all my tools. They sent me all this product. Like, it was unbelievable. And it kind of like changed my mindset a little bit. Like, wow, like there's still good people out there. So when I got out of that relationship, like a month or two later, that's a whole nother story. But I did what I had to do. I lived in my shop for probably, I don't know, a good 3 months.
Yeah.
At that time, I was going to the gym all the time. So I showered at the gym every day, and I did what I had to do. But you can knock me down, dude, but I'm coming back stronger than ever.
Yeah, I like how you reflected onto the community and the business you were in. That really means a lot. That shows a lot, and always get back to the community you're working in for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, can you guys tell me like how, like you kind of got into it a little bit, but saying what you were doing before this, can you guys tell me the story of how you guys came up with this, how Brandon and Brandon linked up and became Brandon Squared and did this?
Oh, so I met this Brandon about 10 years ago. I don't even remember what I was doing for work. I was working for somebody else.
You had just started.
I think I had just started window tinting and stuff on the side. And I met this guy. We were racing electric RC cars indoors, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. Like the first time we really like started talking, Link, is we were part of this like New Year's Day race. It was an 8-hour enduro race. And like our strategy was like, just get to the front and stay out front. Like at that point, like we just started clicking. And it just happened to be funny that he worked nearby my first location that I was just talking about when I got into that. And so he was coming over a lot, seeing what I was doing. And we just kind of BS a lot. And then I switched locations, didn't see him for a while. And then he ended up, or was it the other way around? You moved.
I moved locations. Yeah.
Yeah, he moved locations, and I rented out the spot next to him. So we were like right next to each other. It was almost like we were roommates.
We was chasing my racing career, and I had some free time throughout the day after I went to the gym. A little break I gave myself. I'd go see him and see what he was up to, and we started talking. And he's like, "Hey, I do this, drop shipping on the side, a little Amazon." I'm like, "Oh man!" When I was younger, I was selling gold on eBay, and that was when Gold Rush was really big. So it was a good little freebie advertisement I got out of the TV show, I say. But I'm like, we kind of had the same thing going, and we're like, kind of put our heads together, working a little. We just kept evolving. A few years later, we started looking at softwares and everything, and developing our own patented stuff. And he's like, let's go automate it, because everybody kept asking him what he was doing and how he was doing so good, and it was too much for them to take over. So we really teamed up at that point, and we knew.
Yeah, it was really like
something we had to do.
About 2 years ago, spring, when we really linked up in business together. Because I was doing the Amazon, and I was trying to get him to quit his racing career and job to come work with me. Because I know what it takes to go racing, and like it's just that persistence that I was talking about. And so like I knew we clicked well, and it took a lot. It took months of convincing to get this guy to take that leap. And then once we did it, then we got into the CBD. We're like, hey, if so-and-so's doing it, like we can do this. I know this person and this person. And it's just like, we don't say no. We don't
give up.
We don't give up. Like you give us a challenge, like we're going to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
no matter what we do.
An entrepreneur is a risk taker. I think that's like an important quality to have. And
I would say I'm the risk taker. He's kind of like that voice in my back pocket that like, I have the really big crazy ideas, and he tries to like
bring it down to reality. That's my goal. But then I come up with a lot of the creative. The names, like one of our initial companies with B Legend Investments, to be a future legend. So that's really what we kind of go by, and that's where we're going. We're going to be legends in what we do.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it, man. And let's talk about legacy. Let's talk about what you guys' end goal is and why legacy is important in the first place.
You want to talk about that?
Legacy?
Yeah.
The legacy, you always want to leave a legacy behind, because that's what your kids are going to look at you for, what you did or created. If you donated at one point, or you gave back to the community, and maybe your legacy is that name on a building or something like that. There's legacy is really important. It shows the future what the past was. You know, it's always good to look back at history because you don't want to repeat a mistake, or you want to look back and see what worked and do it again.
Yeah, man.
I think that's a legacy.
I
Yeah,
think it is important for us to share information with the past, but not only
absolutely.
create a good, because we're not gonna be here forever. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
No.
to leave something great behind for your future, for the future generations, and also to um, have that feeling about life that we're not here forever. That's why it's fun to have fun. It's always needed to like
Yeah.
balance it out. Let me ask you guys about that, because
Yeah, you
I know
have
you
to.
guys are always working. How do you guys balance like downtime? Do you still be racing
We
in your
love
downtime?
So,
we have
great
a lot of
question.
toys.
Our work, well, my work-life balance sucks. Okay, his is a little bit better, but at the end of the day, like I said before, if I don't do the work, nobody's going to do the work for me. You know what I mean? And like I worked really hard to get where I'm at and what I have. And everybody's like, everybody's always like, oh, should you really buy that, this or that? And to me, once you attain it, like that's even more motivation because I ain't losing it. I ain't going back. I don't go backwards. Doesn't matter if it's business. It doesn't matter if it's a girl. Like I don't downgrade. I don't go backwards ever.
He's got a little addiction for buying stuff, and I gotta break him down sometimes. Like, man, I don't know.
But that's what
he
motivates
pushes him
me.
harder, so we let it slide a little.
Yeah, 100%. Like it does, it does motivate me, and that's what keeps me going. If I didn't have something to work for, you know what I mean? And like that, it would be really tough.
Yeah, that's for sure. You got to have a goal or set a number or an expectation in your head that you got to meet it. You bought that nicer car. Let's pay for that nicer car. Now you're going to work that much harder.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you find
But yeah,
time.
so getting
Go
into
ahead.
that work, like what I like to do, like in my downtime,
Yeah.
or what we do in our downtime. So I like to go on my boat in the summer. We race snowmobiles in the winter. We like to go down to Scottsdale and throw down every month or two.
We're getting to be legends now in that for sure.
Yeah, we're building a good legacy in Scottsdale,
they
Arizona.
got a legacy.
They love those Wisconsin boys. We got that Canadian style accent, and yeah, the girls down there are amazing.
They get a laugh out of us, and they come from all over. So everybody down there is so open. That's really one of the coolest things.
Everybody's young like us, and like they just have a very similar grinding / hustle mindset. And like I think that's what attracts me to the area so much is like you go there and you're around so many like-minded people. Like it's just a really good.
I call it, it's an entrepreneurship little capital for the young.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pay
in their 20s. It seems like. Yeah, you got to get out there, man. It's crazy, and if you like the party, there's a lot of that. There's amazing food. We love going to Mastro's. It's we call it the closer's dinner.
Yeah,
one of our traditions with some of our sales guys. We take everybody out and we do the closer's dinner.
Yeah. There's so much to do there. The weather is always perfect. Like if you go out there and it's cloudy, it's like, whoa, what is happening?
Yeah, for sure. I've only seen it rain one time when I was there, and the last trip we were there it was cloudy, and the day we landed, and the next day it was beautiful, and our energy's up. It's one of them places where you can go all day, go all night, do the nightlife, wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning, go to a meeting, you're great. You're in amazing shape.
Yeah, we're very, we realize we're very fortunate to be able to travel and do the things that we do. And, I would say we're pretty humble people. We don't really get a big head about it. And that's how you got to treat everybody with the same respect. You know what I mean? So respect a huge thing for us. I don't know if that's a Midwest thing or what, but that's huge to us.
I always stick with the stay humble. Always stay humble. Keep that line and don't get too big.
Yeah, you have to be humble.
Humility is key.
I can honestly say, if I had $10 million or $20 million or $30 million, like I'm not changing. I don't need to change for anybody.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, man. I think people always say money's bad, but I think it's more so it just amplifies who you really are. Because I know my mom.
Yeah, 100%.
My mom got $100 million. My mom would be a $1 millionaire in about a few weeks, and she would just give it all away. Right?
Hey, you got to make it in order to give back, and you can give back with your time, which is one way to give back, which is always amazing, helping out in any way a person can. But once you have money, you can give back in a much greater way, it seems like. And we've been noticing that with charities we've been donating to at our local level.
Yeah. That's a great feeling, man. Like, 5 years ago, like I was just trying to do myself, like just trying to get by, right? A lot of people are in that situation, but once you start to make a little bit of money, like it's on another, excuse me, it's on another level to be able to give back in some way. And that's a pretty cool feeling. It's one of those things you don't understand until you're in that position, how important that is. But, when you got, like when we just did this event in Atlanta, and people are coming up to us, like talking to us, asking all these things like, wow, like, you're so great. You do this. And
Yeah,
that.
we got
like,
to do something with the Dream Machine. I think.
Yeah,
we
with the Dream
donated for
Machine.
that,
Like
and,
we don't feel like we're special. We don't feel like we're different than anybody else. We don't feel like we're above anybody else. And, that's kind of how we are everywhere we go.
yeah, that's back to the humble.
I mean, you gain confidence when you put in the work. So that's what this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing, and it shows
100%.
other people see it. That's why people running up to you. And I think that's what
Yeah.
the key to remain humble and know what you do, know what you're talking about. At least a
Right.
little
Yeah,
bit.
for
1000%.
sure. Put your time in, do your research, and then speak about it. Speak educated about it, and people are going to be so much more interested in you and trust you.
1000%.
Now let's jump around a little bit. I know you kind of grazed over it, but where I'm from, I never actually got to ride a snowmobile. You guys just said that
No?
lightly. How long have you been doing that? What how did you get into?
So I'm 35, so I've been riding snowmobiles for 27 years.
Oh wow!
So it's kind of crazy to think
I'm
about.
not
I
even
think I
gonna
was
tell
conceived
you.
on a snowmobile trip.
I remember the first time I went, like we rented a snowmobile. My parents rented snowmobiles. Okay, it was like a 2-seater. It only was like probably 60 horsepower, and I ran that thing to the ground. I mean, my dad would take me up north snowmobiling every weekend, and I would just pound that thing until it broke, and he hated me for that. Yeah, he just tried telling me, "Hey, you owe me $80 for a belt." And like it was just such an adrenaline rush for me. Like that was my favorite thing to do. And as an adult, I still love that, but I love other things now as well. But yeah, it's a different experience for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been not on a snowmobile in my life. I think I was brought up
Brandon
in a
actually
snowmobile
raced
family.
snowmobiles.
I did
Well, we
5
both
years
did, but he did a little bit
at a
different.
pro level, and
Humble.
there's not a
I see
day I
that.
can't remember looking back and not thinking of myself on a snowmobile. I was at home going through some photos, and I found an old photo of me in my yard as a little kid riding a snowmobile. So it's always been a part of
I
me.
remember being in school drawing pictures of snowmobiles.
Yeah, I was there, and I got a card in the mail when I graduated, and there was a picture of me wanting to be a pro snowmobile racer, which I did eventually meet that goal. But it was pretty funny because it was from like first grade Brandon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Isn't that's
Yeah.
crazy when you actually write down goals and you purposely manifest your future and you become like the co-creator of your life, it
Yeah.
becomes like
Yeah.
game.
I
And you
don't
start to
ever tell
realize
myself
that.
I can't do something. Like if I want something, I'm gonna get it.
But he's probably wondering what a snowmobile truly is. It's like taking a street bike or a 4-wheeler. I don't know if you've been on any of that stuff, but throw it in a winter wonderland and enjoy the nature.
Is it?
Or climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
I've been and done that too.
It's an adrenaline rush.
I didn't even know it had
for
2
us,
seats.
Well,
It's usually one, but
it's usually one.
It's like riding on a jet ski, like that seating.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah, I just got my daughter one, and she's 4.
Oh, wow.
My
Start
girlfriend's
'em off early.
son, I got him racing when he was 4. And the type of racing that we do is a little different than what Brandon did. It's basically, what motocross is, right?
Yeah.
It's like that, but on snow with snowmobiles that weigh, 400 or 500 pounds versus
Like so
200 pounds.
going up the ramps and
Yeah.
and
Doing the jump.
hitting
Yeah,
that.
you go over the jumps and
people
hitting
still hitting
100
the
foot
hill
gaps
clicks and
and
stuff like that on there.
Uh-huh.
oh, we ain't doing no heel clickers, but but yeah,
We'll work on that this winter with the kids.
Sometimes you do that by accident.
the Superman.
Superman's usually the most common, yeah. But yeah, that's what we love to do. So in the wintertime, I mean, every weekend we're gone for probably 3 months out of the year doing that, but it's what we enjoy. But at the same time, I still have a commitment to my clients. So when I'm at the racetrack, I got my laptop there. So in between races, if I got to respond to somebody, I have the ability to do that.
And that's so dope. And you guys' story is so interesting to me, and it's so dope because it's like it proves it's that you can do anything. You guys went from Brandon, you went from being a pro snowmobiler to being an expert in e-commerce. How did those two fields don't even tie together? And we were just talking about niching down. So we can see
No, that's true.
you can change your niche and you can change, I guess, your like you guys were saying through your story, your perspective on life changed, and that's how you started changing your approach to actually get to where you guys are at. And
Yeah,
I
for
want
You know,
to,
sure.
anybody can change and pivot and go to another direction as long as you put the work in.
You just got to be focused.
Focus.
Can't be distracted. I haven't, people see, oh, you're doing so great at this now. What people don't understand is that, when I was a sophomore, well, actually, I was probably in like 8th grade, like the internet was becoming big. This is when they had the Apple computers like in the library, and you put the floppy disk in and played Oregon Trail at like study hall or computer class when you're learning to type. This is how long I've been thinking about like and been involved in e-commerce. Like when I first started out, I was more like my friend was into coding programs and stuff like that. So I'd go over to his house and I'd watch what he was doing. I'd kind of learn it. Then I started playing around with websites a little bit. And then, as I got older and e-commerce got more popular, I'm like, wow, like, dude, I could literally sell to anybody in the world. The whole world is my customer. If I could just sell to this many people, I'd be sitting really healthy. I'd be really happy. So as I grew older, I was like, man, like this is the future. I got to figure out a way to capitalize on this. And I just never lost sight of that. I may have worked, other jobs, worked for other people, but as soon as not even as soon as I got out, probably while I was on the clock, I was thinking about it. Like what can I do? How can a guy with no money, no real extra money, doesn't have any connections, like how can I make something happen? And I got close a couple of times doing it without any of that stuff. And then I'd get to the point where I needed a connection or I needed some money. You know what I mean? And like over the last 2 years, I would say those connections is what really changed everything, because 2 years ago, I didn't have a ton. I did well, but I wasn't doing well, right? Like I was just getting by, paying my bills. And then once I started making these connections with people on Instagram that are similar to me and doing a similar thing and have similar goals, everything changed.
Yeah, for
okay.
sure. The like-minded people again came in
Yeah,
and
literally.
really changed your life. Is finding people that want or have what you have and chasing it down.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's hugely important is finding after you
Instagram
decide your
literally changed
niche.
my life.
After you find your niche, it's important to, what I'm saying, get in tune, like speak to them. After you find out what you want to do, it's important to talk to other people who are doing what you do. So you might
Right.
find a partner or somebody else doing something that you can help or
Right.
somebody that can help you.
Yeah, don't be afraid to
Yeah,
get
for
involved.
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Don't
Like
be afraid.
I have some friends in the e-commerce industry that, they're in e-commerce, but they don't do what we do. And like, right now we're not doing anything as partners, but down the road, could we potentially be? Absolutely.
For sure.
So we're always communicating and bouncing ideas. Well, more so me bouncing ideas off him, but he's been doing it for so long and has such great insight that, I learn stuff from that or get a different perspective on things, and it helps me grow what we're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me ask you about this, about life. You guys started out, you had your story, you were riding snowmobiles, you were working in other places and still learning, getting into e-commerce. And one thing you guys have is desire. It's like, it's apparent that you have to have desire. And
Yeah.
people do it for the things. People initially say, I want to start a business or I want to do this, and they have these list of I guess goals or dreams or
Mhm.
material items that they want to obtain. And once you reach that point of, once you gain those material items, actually, and you feel them in your hand, oftentimes you feel like that's not exactly what you did it for. And you start to think
Right.
about what's important. What's important to you
You're
guys?
truly doing it for yourself. You're doing it for yourself to prove yourself.
Yeah. I
Uh,
literally, like, I constantly, like, once I attain a certain level, like, enough is never enough
what's
for
the
me.
next level? When
You
I
know what
was
I mean?
racing,
Like, I always want to get to that next level.
my dad, I would always we'd do the biggest event of the year, and I'd win it or something. My dad would go, "Yeah, we could have been faster there, or we could have did that different." And I'm like, "We just won the biggest event." So that's been burnt into my mind. Where no matter if I succeed at my goal, I could have did it this way better, or we could have made this slight change and do it better yet. So it's always growing. No
You have
matter
to
if
have that open mindset. Like, you can't be close-minded and think, oh, I achieved it. Now I don't have to work as hard.
Yeah, for sure. You can't be one and done.
You gotta have that.
Yeah,
My
keep
guy,
going.
like my guy David Goggins, always talks about that true dog mentality. I got a
Yeah.
dog at
And that
home.
isn't something
He
you
does
can
not get fooled.
necessarily teach either. Like, you either have it in you or you
Or you
don't.
for sure.
You know, like, if you make $1 million in a year, let's say I make $1 million in a year, I want to make $1 million a month. And then when you hit that, like, I want to hit $2 million, just to see, just to
How
be able to
big
get,
can we really
like,
get?
how
Yeah.
big can I really make it? You know what I mean? Like, I've wanted a Lamborghini since I was a freaking kid. Okay. Who hasn't, you know?
Yeah.
Like now I'm at the point in life, like I could just go buy it today. Okay. I could go buy it right now.
And it feels good, doesn't it?
It feels good. But then like after you get it, it's like, okay,
It's a car.
it's just a car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like you hit that $1 million mark. Now you want to get to 2. So I bought a Lambo. Now I want to get a Ferrari, or I want to buy this truck. I want this and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the house, or what's next? You know, the mansion, the vacation home, the island.
Yeah. Like if I
the island.
if I sit around, I don't know what to do with myself.
And how to involve friends and family is one of the other things I look at too. You know,
Right.
I like to bring everybody and give them an opportunity. Maybe if they didn't have it, you know, they're still doing their thing. I like to bring that on.
Yeah. See, I think that's I'm glad you brought that up though. Is there like some specific I would say rules or something like when it comes to working with friends and family? Like how do you separate business?
Oh, working with friends for sure.
Yeah, this can go one of two ways. Either it can be the best thing you ever did, or it can be the worst thing you ever did. You know, like I was like, if we do business with like friends or family, right? Like they always want a deal, and they're usually the worst ones to deal with because they feel like they owe you you feel like they owe you a favor, right? And so those are truly probably the worst types of people to do business with. But it just depends on your relationship.
You really got to
person.
draw the line up front and have a plan of
Right.
outlook and have it written out so you both stay in line. You know, it's not like selling a car where you can just sell it and dump it and run. If you sell it to family, man, it breaks down the next month. They're like, "Oh, you sold me a lemon," and I'm like, I didn't know it was going to happen like that.
Yeah, I just had that recently with I had an Escalade I sold a while back to my girlfriend's nephew. Well, that was the worst decision ever because I like the door handle came off and like the paint started peeling. Like, bro, I don't know what to
do anything
like.
about it. When I had it was fine, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess business, you really got to set the expectations and the guidelines for sure,
Yeah,
so
for
you don't
sure.
overstep.
Yeah, because otherwise it's going to create either like animosity or it's just people are going to get bitter. And you really, you got to set the right expectation right out the gate. You got to stick to your guns if you're going to be working with.
And you know,
or whatever.
if it's not working up front right away, don't be afraid to cut your ties because it's only going to get harder. You don't want to have a Zuckerberg case on your hands and
Exactly.
the situation that went through. If you ever watched the movie Social Network.
Hey, let me ask you, since we just brought this up though, family and friends. I feel like in entrepreneurship, it's kind of like a lonely type journey because when you first start, a lot of people don't necessarily believe you can do it, and I don't necessarily believe it. It's because
oh, for sure.
they don't
they
believe
eat
in
you up.
They don't believe in themselves, so they can't really fathom you doing something incredible. What would you say
For
to
sure.
somebody who doesn't like feel like they get support from their friends or family?
Somebody that doesn't get support from their friends or family,
you know, just push through it no matter what.
Start reaching out to people, like I said, reaching out to others on Instagram that are, you know, that you can tell are go-getters that you look up to. Because once you get around the right mindset people, like you don't even pay attention to those haters anymore. You know what I mean? Like they don't mean nothing.
No matter how good you do, you're always going to have a hater, you know?
Right.
And then you're going to hit that point where you hit a crest and your parents are really proud of you for going on your own. It takes a bit to get there, but once you hit that crest, it feels amazing to finally get that support from them.
Isn't it funny? It's okay to seem crazy for a minute. That just means you're doing something right because you seem crazy until hey, you know what? I'm so proud of you. You know, I knew.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
They're like, wow,
I love that.
Your bank account's at zero for so many months, and now you got something, and they're like, hey, you're really starting to go somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
The time pays off.
Yeah, like the best thing I can do, like I got my blinders on. Like I don't pay attention to these people over here, these people over here. Like I know what I want, and these people aren't going to help me get it. Like, okay, I'll go at it alone.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now,
and that goes back to what we said in the beginning. Don't take advice from people that don't have what you want.
That's the realest thing. Yeah. That's the realest thing you could have said, and it hits the same every time. It's not like
it does, 100%.
Because I think about that.
It is a cold, hard truth.
Small level. I think about that from the smallest level now. Like I'm not even about to listen to the guy at the kiosk in the mall telling me I'll get girls. If he doesn't,
he'll tell you where the stores are though.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because like my parents, like they know what I do in e-commerce and they don't really understand it and they don't need to understand it, but you know, my mom sometimes will tell me, you should be doing this, this, and this. And it's like, Mom, like, I don't live the life you live. Like, don't try and talk like you are speaking from experience. You know what I mean? And I had to tell my mom that once. I said, why would I take advice from you when you have nothing that I want? You know what I mean? And
don't get me wrong, you took some advice as you're growing up and you learned a lot somewhere. But
I know, like brush your
you
teeth.
get,
in
you
terms
go through
of
that pain,
business,
take a shot.
in terms of business, yeah.
Nah, definitely, man.
I'm not saying don't go home and not listen to your mom. But,
always listen to mom. She's always right. But
it was in the context, it was appropriate at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it sounds really bad.
I had to do the talk too. You know, it's like giving it the talk. It's like the birds and the bees of business.
Yeah. Eventually, we all have to develop our own mindset and find what we attract to, and become ourselves anyway. That's like the first step is becoming a free thinker to like unlock. You know what I'm saying?
So like the biggest thing, like I tell people too, like what do I got to do to achieve this? And so I don't remember where I saw it, but it said the first step to achieving your goals, the first thing you need to do is just start. Just start. Don't sit there and talk about it and not do it. Just start doing it so you can start learning what not to do, so you can get to the point you're trying to get to.
Just jump. Don't be afraid of that jump.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, so many people like, oh, I got this job, I'm making $15 an hour and life is good. No, you don't even understand what life is like yet. Like, you are literally living like a robot. And that, for me, like, I wish I could just go pluck certain people out of my life and just show them like what they're missing out on by not taking a chance.
That's one of the things that school teaches you, to always be a W-2 employee. And you know who collects your money before you do? The government.
We farming consumers. We raising consumers, man. That is crazy.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's like that's why everybody looks at entrepreneurs so weird right now, because they think, you're an entrepreneur. Where's your money at? They think that's what that means.
Right.
Well, it's usually in something else,
Right.
You don't just because you don't have pockets full doesn't mean you got assets. It's where entrepreneurs put a lot of their stuff, because they're always trying to make that dollar off their dollar.
Right. And that's a huge thing too, is like, that's why we create passive income for our clients. Like, we're literally putting people's money to work for them.
Yeah, I think we do just shy of our clients make about $500,000, I think.
Well, we do about $8 million a month in sales for our clients.
Oh my gosh!
So they're roughly making around like $2 to $3 million in profit a month. And how many packages 300,000 packages we ship a month.
Yeah.
All on autopilot for our clients.
And you don't have to be in there.
Never touch a single item.
Welcome to the future.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It is the future.
Now, let me ask you guys this, because we do, in this case, I usually ask, if you had one big ass microphone and you could say something to everybody on the planet, what would you say? But in this case, we do have these microphones. So if you had a message,
don't take advice from somebody that doesn't have what you want.
That's right. It's the truth.
It is the truth. People might not want to hear that and like think, oh, that's not right. I should listen to this or this. No, if you have a goal and you're taking advice from somebody that doesn't have the experience of having what you want, why would you listen to that?
Yeah, for sure.
That is like
the big microphone.
That is the number one thing that I ever heard that really made me go, wow. Or scared money don't make money. Those are the two like biggest things that like sometimes you just got to take a chance. You're not going to learn any other way.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to get some T-shirts that say that scared money don't make money. It'll be part of our podcast, for the future for us.
Sponsored by Scared Money Don't Make Money.
I'm going to have the promo code.
That's right. Yeah, promo code 20.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, thank you guys for being with me. This is a great day. It's Veterans Day. I really appreciate you guys for joining us.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks for having us on today.
This is great.
We appreciate our veterans and everything they do. And, you got to give respect where respect's due.
For sure. 100%.